Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on wherever you guys are. Well, if you are watching this live, please type hashtag live, or if you are watching this on replay, type hashtag replay, and do let us know where you are joining us from. I'm back again with another amazing episode of Tuesday Treat. My name is Adil Alim. I'm a lead generation consultant, and today I have a very special guest. She is a copywriter, and what she does is she will help you fine tune your website content from customer's perspective. It's very important not just to share what you know, but I think you need to know how your customer see it, feel it, and respond to it. So she's an expert at that. She'll not only identify your unique selling point, but your client profiles too. Well, without wasting any time, please let me add to the stream our guest. Please welcome Miss Lucie Cunningham. Hey, Lucy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you for your invitation, Adil. I'm glad to be here.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I know you have a very busy schedule and you're taking the time out for this, so I really appreciate that. So thank you so much for joining once again. And without wasting any time, let's jump right into it. And can you tell us a bit about yourself, that what exactly you do and what it is and how you got started?
Yes, well, I'm a copywriter and editor at 𝐂𝐮𝐞𝐬 Communications. I started as a freelancer 13 years ago, and I've actually had a rich professional experience in various industries before focusing on writing, and I bring that to the table. I actually was asked by the city council of the city I lived in at that time in the Netherlands to become a consultant about expat matters. I had set up a nonprofit for international mothers to be and new mothers because the healthcare system in the Netherlands was very, very different, and people had really had trouble with it. And people kept asking me questions outside of that scope, and I became known as an expert on the topic. And when the city council started a new policy on helping how to welcome expats settle down, find their way, and participate in Dutch society, they hired me and they asked me to become a freelancer for that. And
Wow.
I started doing translation work and writing and editing, and yeah, it's been fascinating.
Wow, that's awesome. So were you doing the same work at that time when the city government asked you, or you were doing something else, and then you totally shifted? What happened?
Well, I am often asked to be the contact person between offer and demand. So I took a sort of diplomatic function, if you will, using my communication skills, my networking skills, my language skills, to bring the expat community's voice to the city council so that they could solve issues about housing, healthcare, employment, what people were doing in their leisure time. We encouraged them to consume locally. So I did a lot of reviews about local restaurants and cafes and special places where internationals would feel welcome. So in a way, it started. I started having a vision of bringing offer and demand together when they often didn't fully understand each other, and I would explain what one side expectations were, how the other side was working, and help them bring a compromise so that they would understand each other, not only linguistically but also different ways of looking at things. And um, yes, so I wrote a lot of information. I translated a lot of information from Dutch to English, for example, when the municipality wasn't doing that, informing people about major changes. Um, I became a communicator and a writer about constructive news and useful information. So I knew that my audience didn't want to read very long, complex texts because often English was not their mother language. So through that, I'm now really used to clear, concise, engaging information. Because if
Wow.
your audience could not understand, play on words and set expressions that everyone knows if you grew up in that country. I I make it so simple and accessible. That's how my clients describe my text. That they're relevant, they're accurate, they answers people's hidden questions that they often don't dare ask, and it addresses it, and then it becomes really useful.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's like you sort of transform what you were going through or the opportunity that came to you, and that's how, I mean, you turned it into something that has become your career. So just quickly before moving on to the next question, so now you're providing your services as a copywriter. So can you briefly share, I mean, what exactly are you doing right now, and who is your ideal client that you're working with?
Um, Among my ideal clients are coaches and consultants, as well as nonprofits. I noticed that a lot of people have websites, but their content gets quickly outdated or it doesn't really work out for them. So often, when you set up your business, you think that's okay, that's what I'm going to do. But actually, your services evolve, or you may realize that your competition does things so similarly that you want to stand out, you want to find
Yeah.
your unique voice, and that's where I come in. I can help
uh,
you do a revamp of your text, or if you're starting a new business.
yeah.
It's very hard to be faced with a blank slate. Even if you have the most amazing web design, if your
Yeah.
content doesn't give a punch in the first top third of your landing page, most people don't read further. So you
Yeah.
have to use that space very wisely and really be, if you think about it, a coach and consultant is there to serve. They're there because their clients have issues, they may be facing problems, or they may feel that they have all this potential and talent that they're not fully using yet. So they're
Yeah.
in search. They're in search of something. It's not just buying a product. They want someone that they can trust. They want
Yeah.
someone who has a strong, who has a convincing picture of what they're dealing with, and who's there to support them. So I think that it makes sense to refocus your approach when you write not only about you and all your amazing certificates and diplomas and things. You have to start with what's playing in your clients' lives and then
Yeah.
how you address it.
Yeah. So I think you briefly answered this. I mean, this exactly it was my next question. That I mean, most of our audience are coaches and consultants. And next question is, I mean, that what you do, how it benefits coaches and consultants. So you've shared a bit about, I mean, how it has to take the audience of these coaches and consultants to a journey where they engage with the content on the website. So can you briefly share any success story or case study or anything there where, I mean, or any challenge that you often see these coaches going through when it comes to content or copywriting?
Yes, well, one of my clients is an art consultant.
Hmm.
She owns an art gallery and organized art fairs for many years, and then she sold it to someone, but she wanted to stay in that world, and she just didn't know where to start. She had a couple of bullet points, but she didn't know how to expand them. And she said her concern was that most people think that art is an elite thing, and that if you hire an art consultant, they will be, arrogant, that they will be unapproachable. Well, she is the absolute opposite of that. She has a lot of knowledge, but she doesn't stuff it in your face. She's a great listener. She makes everything simple. She makes everything um, accessible and easy, and she helps you frame what your tastes are like, what your budget is like, and she has this incredible network of
Yeah.
artists in various countries, and she can help you deliver it, ship it, set it up. Um, she makes it really accessible. So I helped her rephrase. whenever she was talking about art and what she does, it was always about love and about how much people fall in love with their pieces. So I came up with the tagline, the art matchmaker. And
Ah,
then we played a little on that. I mean, definitely not like a dating site or anything, but it's always been about what she meant is that it's an emotional transaction. When you invest in art, she knows where to find remarkable art that is still affordable, but that will increase in value. And she helps it come to your house. You know, if you're incredibly busy and you don't want to shop around, you don't want to go to all the art galleries and all the art fairs, she does that for you. So once I understood what, the passion that she had and the vivid connection she has with art and that she's seen, her former clients have, then I could tune in that related to emotions. And, good copywriting is actually always related to emotions. Can do
exactly.
you understand your clients' needs and expectations, emotions they feel once you solve the issues, once you help them grow, and what has been preventing them? Sometimes I get clients who say, "Oh, I knew of you through word of mouth a year ago, but I was so embarrassed and I just didn't know. I didn't dare come." So you have to think about, I often say in your questions and answers, try to find questions that people have, like the most, um, if the most cynic of your clients would say, well, I wouldn't want to hire an art consultant, I can do that myself, or it would be too expensive, or they will force something that I don't like on me because they like it. You have to go into the your client's inner critic of
Yeah.
you, actually, and address that and relieve them of that apprehension. Sometimes authenticity and transparency builds trust. And she loved the text that I wrote. I wrote a blog post for her as well, and we keep writing. We keep working together. It's just been a joy working with her.
Mhm. Well, that's awesome because I can resonate with so many things that you've shared here. I've read somewhere that good marketers, I mean, it's like average marketers, they sell products, but good marketers, they sell emotions. So, like you mentioned,
Yes.
copywriting is more about emotions. So, yeah, I totally relate to that point. Yes, that you have to make people feel something about what you are doing too, and that can happen when you really know what it is like. Because I know, I mean, I've always been inspired or amazed by the power of copywriting, even long before I know what even copywriting was. And it's very recent that I've started learning things about it because it really, I mean, I always used to enjoy or always like to think about how people used to come up with taglines. So tagline was one thing that I always used to inspire me. That how Nike come up with just do it or things like that. So things like these, I always used to think about that how people come up with these kind of things or how you need to connect your brand so that you come up with that. So I think copywriting is a powerful tool that does that. So even for our audience, I think yes, we all understand that probably it's just that we think that we are very good at writing content. So content is very different, but when it comes to copywriting or writing, or I think I've read, and please correct me. I'm a very new student, so I can make mistakes of an excited new learner. But it's like I think I've read that content is normal thing that you write about it, but copywriting is when what you write actually sells something. So copywriting is action oriented, where you are making your audience to take certain action. So I think that's a skill that either you get by practice or you need to have experts who can help you do that. So I think we have Lucy who not only does that, but I think this is something that we've had this conversation. I think with you, I think you've been working with audiences in United States and even UK. So I think you have that expertise too. Where can you briefly talk about that?
That's right. I lived in the US for almost 7 years. I worked for nonprofits there, but also for the University of Stanford, for Stanford University,
Wow.
for a couple of years. And again, I was a go-between person between graduate students and central administration and recruitment, and so I often had to explain how things worked, and often if things were not working smoothly, because when you have such a huge organization, sometimes people get left out by mistake. But if something became urgent, I would actually invite the person to come with me, and we would physically go to the desk until that was solved.
Yeah,
But over the years, what people have told me is that I have this warm personality that makes people feel at ease. This way, they're more likely to tell me their stories, and this way, I can capture what I call their essence. By that, I mean obviously their skills, and I've met many, many different kinds of people. So I can tell you if you're better than average, on certain things. I can help you showcase what is brilliant about you, but also empathy, and empathy for both sides. The client side, I'm quite a
yeah,
demanding client myself. I do my homework whenever I want to purchase something, or I want to hire someone. And from being an entrepreneur, and how do you position yourself in the market, and how do you make people understand what you do, even if they're not even remotely working in that field. I always say, if you had to explain what you do, and what you do is quite complex, to a neighbor, to an elderly neighbor, for example, how would you phrase it so that someone who has no life experience of the kind of work that you do would still understand? So, and
yeah,
then we take that as a base, and then we make it flow, we make it sound nice, and we polish it. But the essence is, if someone was from another culture, or if someone was from a very different part of society, could
yeah,
you still tell them? Could they still understand what you do, even if it's
yeah.
quite foreign to them?
Yeah, that's totally true. And I think, I mean, you've been sharing so much value, and I think we can go on and on. But I think this brings me to my most favorite question, and this is something that I really feel proud of. That usually what happens is that people when they invite guests, they have some sort of gift or treat for them. But we have this different tradition that whenever we invite guests, we ask them to bring some treat for our audience. So, Lucy, do you have any treat for our audience?
I do. I offer a free 30-minute consultation. No strings attached. Just tell me about what issue you're facing with your website content, or if you, for example, found you hired someone to do your SEO keywords, and you don't know how to integrate that in your website. Um, just ask me.
Uh, That's awesome. And I think this is the link to schedule this call with you. And I know this is just for information. What we do is that, I mean, we can share this detail on the thread where we are streaming this, or on the description of the video, so that you can click and reach out to her. And trust me, Lucy is super approachable, and she always provides so much value that I can't really recommend her enough. So please do reach out to her and have this conversation. Use this opportunity to have this free 30-minute consultation with her, because she's very busy. So I think if she's offering that, so I think you shouldn't be missing that. So Lucy, any parting thoughts?
I I just love to see the difference of the text that people send me, and once we're done working together, how empowered uh, people feel. They say, "How did you know that about me?" That's what I've been meaning to say all that time. And then by
Yeah.
the time the copywriting is finished, it's something that makes them stand a little straighter and a little more confident, because it reflects what they do and who they are and what their values are.
Mm, yeah, that's awesome. And trust me, I can totally resonate with that, because what I do with my clients is mostly about helping them figure out what their expertise are and what offers they need to have. And I think 2 months or 3 months down the line, we are tracking all the progress that they have made. So what I do a couple of months, I share them. I give them a presentation of the sort of work that they have done with me. So it includes what sort of pain points they solve, pain or what sort of people they work with or what are their expertise. And at times they're like, I didn't even know that this is what we have done, or I offer all this. And I mean, they know that they do all this, but seeing that in front, and having it in the form of written words or even out there, I mean, it really does make a difference. So I'm sure that what you're offering is something where they can easily communicate what they want to, but probably don't know how to do it. So I think this is a very useful, uh, um, really useful, I think, help that they can get from you. So thank you so much for being here on the show, and thank you so much for offering this.
Thank you, Adil.
Uh, and to our audience, please, once again, I'll be sharing all the details on the thread. So do reach out to Lucy, have this conversation with her. We'll be back again next week with another amazing expert. So till then, have fun and enjoy your day. Bye.